Well, good evening, my friends. I am here with our new scripture card for tonight. We're doing the scripture cards from Worship Jam. We're going to continue with these scriptures and enhance the study that we're already doing in our Bible study. And you can get this book on Amazon, and I hope you will, and it'll enhance what you're studying. But tonight we're going to do the scripture that is from the Why We Worship, and it is John 12:32. Now, it's not the main scripture, but it's one of the scriptures that's in the text. And it says, "And if I be lifted up from the earth, I will draw all men unto me." And I picked that scripture from this lesson because I just felt like that goes with Easter, doesn't it? Like when the women found that he was raised and he was no longer in the tomb, didn't they go running to the upper room where everyone was hiding so that they could tell everybody the good news, right? They were lifting him up, and so he could draw others to him. All throughout the New Testament, in the Church of Acts, people were giving their story. They were lifting up Jesus, and they were drawing people unto the Lord. And he says that if we lift him up, he will draw people. We don't have to do it. We just have to exalt him. We just have to worship him, and others have to see that, and he will be lifted up. So I wanted to start. Remember, I told you we're using whatever we have. So I have this security envelope, and I thought, how cool. I like that pattern. So I'm going to put that on the back of this paint chip because I started off using these paint chips, and we put them on a ring so you can see that. So we're going to do that right now. I'm going to cover the back of this with glue. Tonight I'm going to use glue stick. Again, this is what I have on my table, and you know that I'm all about just using what you have. So that's what we're going to do. I'm going to just stick glue all over this paint chip. I'm sticking glue all over the paint chip. Let me tip it down a little so you can see me. All over the paint chip, because I want to turn the paint chip over onto the security envelope, but now I'm not going to turn it over onto the side that I like, because of course I won't get that. I'm going to turn it over onto this side, and I'm going to line it up in a good spot so that I can get a good amount of that security envelope pattern. Now remember, when you do this, some of your envelopes, like they're not going to have, you see down here is all white, so make sure when you position whatever you're doing, you position it there. Now, I do it this way because it makes it easier. Once it's glued down, you can cut it out a little easier than if you cut it out prior to gluing it down. It's harder to get it in the right spot because it could just be a little bit off, and you don't want that. This makes it just so much easier. Just glue it down to a big piece and then cut it out. Now I notice here where I'm cutting just now on this corner, it's a little thin. And that's okay because that's what we use embellishments for, right? So we're going to embellish this card, and we're going to write our scripture on it. Last time we used a stencil, and I know I've used rub-ons before, so we might just use some of the same things while we're talking about the scripture. Maybe you could think of some things that you've done to lift up the Lord that have drawn somebody unto him. Maybe it's just living your life of worship in front of somebody, and they say, hey, you're different. I don't understand, but I want that. That happened to me at work one time, and I led my office manager to the Lord. She's like, I don't understand, but there's something about you that's different, and I really want that. And I led her to pray. I don't know where she is today in her walk because I've moved. That was like 20 years ago. I hope that she is following through. I need to grab my hole cutter here, which I don't see, so I'm just gonna sort of poke a hole for right now, and I'll do a hole in here later with the hole punch, just so I know where it is. Okay, that way I know where the hole is. All right, so I've got my stuff on here, and you can see it's a little tattered right here. And that doesn't really even bother me. I'm going to add a little extra glue right there because of that tattered spot, because it's torn away from the envelope itself. And that really doesn't bother me because, you know, I like to ink things up. And I think I might just use this gelato. Remember we talked about them at one point. Gelatos are just, they're kind of like a chalky crayon. And I'm going to go around the edge with that. See how that brings it out? You can use a crayon to go around the edge. I just happen to have the gelato next to me. Maybe I'll grab a crayon to do the other side so you can see. And I'm not being super particular. You can see I'm not being super particular. And I'm letting it go in a little bit. So then what you do with gelatos is you'll take a tissue or a baby wipe or some sort of fabric or something, and you go ahead and you rub it. I'm just going to use the end of this envelope here, and I am going to rub that to make it get all the chalkiness off of it, and just kind of smear it in a little bit. It just kind of gives it just more of a finished look. It doesn't take away from the fact that you've drawn on with crayon. You can still tell that it's kind of a waxy crayon. It just leaves that waxy crayon effect and gets rid of all that excess chalkiness. See? See? Okay, so now we have this. And you know, also one of the things that I do to lift up the Lord, to draw other men unto him or other women unto him, is I do stuff like this. I do crafts, I do cards. I try to draw attention to the Lord through these things. And so let's see, what else can we put on here? I have, oh, I know what we're going to put on the other side. Let's do this. We'll do the other side first. We'll leave our foundation and we'll come back. I want to put some balloons on it. This is leftover wrapping paper, believe it or not. And I know that balloons go up, don't they? So it just reminds me of lifting up the Lord. Now it's not big enough if I do it this way, and I kind of want that balloon centered. So I'm going to leave some of the green at the bottom, and I'm just going to put the balloon. I like that. So let's go ahead, and I'm just going to sort of rough cut that right there. And in order to get, because remember now, I don't want to cut it so that it fits. I'm going to kind of fold it around just for now so I can see where to put the glue. Okay, make sure that you smooth it out really good to get to that edge, and you can see where to put the glue. Okay, I kind of like that, and I think I might maybe even move it up further, because let's see, if I move it up to the top, I might put the scripture on this side where he said, if I be lifted up. See that? Because that reminds me of something being lifted up. Balloons go up in the air. They have helium in them. They blow in the wind. So instead of cutting it, because I'm not going to cut it, I'm just using these lines as a guide for the glue. So that's what we're going to do here. And I am going to put the glue down on this paper. And even if I go over the edges, it's okay, because I'm going to cut them off. But I just want to make sure. And the edges are kind of rough, so don't, this one edge right here on the bottom, that's kind of rough. I'm not worried about it. Just wanted to make sure I got glue everywhere. So you see, I'm lining it up with the top of the card with those lines, see, that I have folded over. But I'm not going to fold it over because I don't want to glue that part on. That was just to guide me to put the glue on. And then you can use your finger like I'm doing. You can use the soft end of your scissors. You can use a bone folder just to make sure that you get everything secure. And once you're sure that it's secure and it's not going to move, go ahead and just trim up those edges. Right there. Kind of excited about the balloons. Balloons make people happy, don't they? You know, what little kid doesn't go to the store and see a balloon and say, hey, I want a balloon? One of my son's children, they don't think it's a birthday celebration without balloons, so they've gotten into a tradition where they've made a point of getting a balloon for everyone on their birthday, which I think is really cool. Some of them do donuts for their birthday, as well as balloons. It's just breakfast morning is donuts for our birthday, you know. I'm just poking the hole so that I know where the hole is so I can punch it. All right, so we see that. And then I'm going to put my scripture down here. Now remember, I also, there's also a little piece right here because we're using paint chips. There's a little number here. If it bothers you, you can cover it or leave it open. I'm going to use a pen because I just want to show how simple these can be. And I'm going to write this scripture. If I be lifted up, okay, so it's and if I be lifted up, where is it now? From the earth, and you can use colored pens, you can use markers, whatever. I will draw all men unto me. Okay, and that is John 12:23. All right, now that's what we're talking about today. We're talking about, hope I didn't finish my quotes there, did I? And I kind of like that, just the balloons, something simple. And then on the back, maybe, if I be lifted up, let's see, I have these stickies. I don't know if I have any. I have a bird that's flying. I wonder how that would look. I have a couple of birds that are flying. If I be lifted up, I think birds would be kind of cool on there, don't you? So let's see. Let's see how that looks. And cut those out. I have this little bird right here. And this bird right here. I like to use these rub-ons every now and then. And I got these at the Dollar Tree. I don't know that I would use all of them. There's some things in here that I don't care for. But they're not that expensive for me to like say, oh, okay, I'm not going to use that one. You know, it's not that important to me. And, oh, and there's other little cute little birds here. Let's see how I get this. I want to get this bird that's flying. Kind of looks like a flamingo or a stork. Just a big bird that's in flight. And I know that I have this funky background on there. Let's see. It might not show up real well on there though. See? It doesn't look like it's going to show up real well on there. I'm not real pleased with that. So I don't know that I'm going to use it. I wonder, it might show up better on something else. What about these? Now that one shows up. So I think I'm going to go with these little birds. See these little birds right here? That's what we're going to do. And again, you can use a popsicle stick. You can use a bone folder, which I believe I do have. I'm going to use a bone folder. And I'm just going to take the tip. I'm going to put that rub-on down, and I'm going to rub that out until it stays on. Because remember, we're talking about the verse where it says, if I be lifted up. Birds are another thing that remind me of flight, the Lord being lifted up. And so there it is. There it is, right there. See it? Isn't that cool? I'm going to go ahead and grab this other one. I'm going to have them just a couple of different birds. Oh, it moved on me. Be very careful when you're doing these because they're easily moved. And when they move, not all the pieces line up and you can't fix it once it's moved. So, and it's kind of interesting to see. You know, I think I am just going to go ahead and put this bird on. It'll blend in sort of, but I don't know. I just kind of like it. I'm going to go ahead and put it on. And maybe I'll trace it later on. We'll see. I'll have to let it go for a while and then decide what am I gonna do with this. Because, and you see how easy these rub-ons are? They're like not hard at all. There we go. And that one really does blend in, but if you hold it in the right light, you can see it. Simple as that. And then I think I'm gonna take a red pen and just gonna write, lift Jesus higher. I may have to use a marker because it's not, the red pen isn't even showing up well. So I may have to go find a marker, but lift. So just use what you have, whatever you have. If you have stickers, use the stickers, you know, put some stickers in there, balloons, birds, butterflies, whatever you think of that might remind you of lifting Jesus higher. You know, butterflies are a symbol of new life. For a long time, that was what Christians used. Lift Jesus. And again, I'm using the red so it can be easily seen here. And it's kind of like, I almost kind of like this with this envelope because it's kind of cryptic. You'll really have to look at it. And I'm enjoying that. Lift Jesus higher. I'm going to put that on the bottom. Higher. And again, I'm probably going to go over this with a marker, which I do not have in front of me. So I'm not going to worry about it right now. But I wanted you to see how easy that is. Isn't that cool? All right. So that's our card for today. Remember, lift Jesus higher and he will draw all men unto him. Have a good night.